Hello.
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 Hi there.
Hello and welcome to Football Times podcast. We'll be previewing all of the upcoming Premier League games on TV. I'm Radio Times sport editor Michael Potts, and today I'm joined in the studio by BBC Match of the Day magazine digital editor Mr. Matt Ketchell. How's it going over there?
Good, yes. Long time no pod.
Long time no pod. We had Jake on last week after a big resounding Wolves win over Manchester City. Shame we can't really say the same this time.
No,
from a Newcastle perspective.
No.
But getting that one out the way, this is week 10 of the Premier League, and we'll start with Friday night football. It's Southampton versus Leicester. It's on Sky Sports Premier League and main event. We'll start with Southampton. They were very poor against Chelsea. I was at the Chelsea game, and they've lost 4 in a row now. They're really relying on Danny Ings. He's got the last 3 goals. That's the only goals they've scored in the last month. How do you break out of that cycle? And where's it going wrong, do you think, for Southampton?
There's no goals. They're not very good at home. They seem to be better away from home. They haven't won at home in the Premier League in 6 games, but their big players aren't really performing. Like Redmond, I'm like, come on, get going. He was meant to be a potential England player, and I'm just not seeing it. There's talk of him potentially being dropped in this game. And Ward-Prowse had a fantastic finish to last season. Nothing really happening in terms of contribution, goals or assists. He had a free kick that went close against Spurs, but apart from that, I'm not really seeing much. And they brought Che Adams in to get goals, but it's a risk when you do that, because he's not a Premier League. He hasn't scored Premier League goals before, so it's a risk, and he hasn't scored. I don't think he's scored yet.
He hasn't scored yet.
And his
came close, but obviously that's not good enough at this point of the season after 9 games. And
I think it's just a knock-on effect of chopping and changing managers as they have done. They've got Hasselhoetel in there the minute. Unless he turns it around quickly, they could be going through another manager, which is not ideal. So, no, not good for Southampton. They need to get points going, because they're in the relegation fight at the minute.
Absolutely. I mean, I noted down actually Redmond and Ward-Prowse. Redmond's sort of been on the peripheral of the England squad and England reckoning for a while. And I guess this is the only time I'm ever going to resemble Guardiola, but I just want to shake him sometimes. Like he's so talented, and whether he's being played you don't know whether it's him not maybe putting in the 100%, or whether it's just the styles and the systems Hasselhoetel wants him to play. But there's such a good player in there, and you want to see it every week. And
he's still young. There's an opportunity for him to turn it around, but like I say, it's just not happening for him at the minute. So he just needs to focus on Southampton. He's been massively overtaken in terms of an England selection. He can't be thinking anything like that. But if Pep Guardiola's storming onto the pitch to shake you, then there's a player there, and I think other managers see that, but it's just not reflecting in his on-pitch performance.
Yeah. And Ward-Prowse, who I feel like he's been an upcoming England under-23 for about 37 years now. It just feels a little bit stale. Maybe again, he is still quite young. Feels like he's been around for a long time, but this is the sort of thing where potential needs to turn into cold hard assists, cold hard goals.
He's the poshest footballer I've ever interviewed. James Ward-Prowse. He's very well spoken.
Interesting.
And he's one of those players, though. He just seems like cyclical. Like another player we could talk about on Leicester's team, Perez. He has strong finishes to the season. He seems to do better in the second half of the season. Ward-Prowse again has these little 3 or 4 month bursts of contribution, and maybe players just are like that. They can't maintain the levels, their best levels for the whole season. Yeah,
I mean, he's got an excellent delivery, so you're always going to get good set pieces, corners, free kicks, whatever from Ward-Prowse. But yeah, you do need to see that from open play. Moving on to Leicester, you mentioned Perez there. He feels like he may be the last piece of the puzzle to drop into a very impressive jigsaw from Leicester so far this season.
Yeah, but I think he's underperformed for what they've paid for him. I think they'd have expected more from him, and I think it's going to take him time to bed in. And at Newcastle, he used to have strong finishes to the season. It was kind of strange. So I'm wondering if he's at risk of getting dropped in this game. He came off, he was substituted in the last game. I'm wondering if Damari Gray or Brighton might get the nod just to take him out and freshen it up a bit. Yeah. But I think long term, he will come good at Leicester, but it's just taking a bit of extra time. But overall, very impressive Leicester team. I'd love them to get top 4 just to mix it up. They've won 4 of the last 6. I think Tielemans is getting better every game. Very impressive, creative player. definitely Premier League level, and they just got a really good squad. I'm envious as a Newcastle fan of Leicester. They get their players in. They do what Newcastle should do. They get their players in, they increase their value, they sell for massive money, and then they reinvest the majority of that fee in the next wave of players. And slowly but surely they're building a European, potentially Champions League team.
It doesn't even seem like it's a radical thing for them to be in that top four. Like they just feel like they are a top four, top five, top six sort of side now, with players like Maddison, players like Vardy. They're all just like sort of stepping up, coming into form. And like you say, Tielemans there, who maybe hasn't quite hit the heights that he did when he was on loan last season. Maybe it just took him. I mean, I don't know how he can go from being so effective to maybe that little bit quieter start of this year. But obviously he got his goal last week, and you feel like if Perez can step in there, maybe he's even as an impact sub. There's not many players you'd rather want coming on than something like Perez, I guess, when he's in form. A quick mention about Brendan Rodgers. So obviously there's pressure on Solskjaer, always has been, probably always will be until he goes before Christmas, like everybody thinks he will. If Solskjaer leaves, if perhaps even Pochettino leaves Spurs.
Where are you going with this?
Brendan Rodgers, does he deserve that bigger job?
Well, he's had the big job, hasn't he? And it went okay, and then it didn't go okay, and then he moved on. So if he keeps doing what he's doing at Leicester, if he gets Leicester in the Champions League, then he's going to have big clubs looking after him. Good managers, good British managers, are hard to find.
So I don't want to doom him straight away. There, he's going to lose 5 games in a row now, and I don't want to certainly just tout him around because he's having a good half season with Leicester. But he's obviously doing something very right there, and he's bought well. He's got them playing in the right way, and he had that bit of a joke reputation from Liverpool days, but it feels like he's really clawed that back and is one of the top managers around at the minute.
I think even he admitted maybe the Liverpool job came a bit too soon, and he was still I think he was late 30s when he got the job.
So he was young.
A lot's changed since then. He's got a lot more experience under his belt, and I think if he was to get one of those Champions League club jobs again, he would just grab it with both hands. Maybe he'll get the chance to take Leicester into the Champions League. But it's an interesting one to watch, the poker game of managerial roundabout. Yeah,
absolutely. Prediction for this one?
I think Leicester should win. Not by many. Maybe by the odd goal, but I just think they'll grind out a result and keep their season ticking over nicely.
Yeah, I'm going quite heavy on Leicester here. I'm going 2 or 3-0. I think I really didn't rate Southampton when I saw them before. Good luck with that since. Next up, we have on Saturday, we have a 12:30 kickoff on BT Sport 1. It's Manchester City versus Aston Villa. So Man City, they hit back, they got the win. Midweek in Champions League, they got the win. In the last 8 games, they've actually kept 5 clean sheets. So for all we're talking about the defence, they've actually, in most of the games, they're turning up. What is it with the off days? What's bringing that out?
Well, they just got them out of the way early on. I think
it's bizarre how there's no pattern to it. It just seems to they just seem to not turn up on a day.
But they've still, and they're scoring goals as well. The 14 goals in the last 5 games. I just think, maybe they have got their blip out of the way early, and if they can ride out this defensive injury crisis and personnel problem, they'll probably recruit in January. I think they're in a fairly good position. They just need to keep chipping away. It's Liverpool who it's theirs to. It's almost theirs to lose, isn't it? But City, a fantastically strong team, and I think they'll learn from what happened at home to Wolves and what happened away at Norwich. They can't afford to let the standards drop, I don't expect them to be honest. And I see this is a very winnable game for them. They won 5-0 through the week. It's just coming together again.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a blow for City in the defensive front. Rodri out with a hamstring injury. We're expecting Stones or Otamendi alongside Fernandinho. It's a bit of a lottery at the minute, and especially with Guardiola, you could end up with De Bruyne there at some point in this season. You never quite know.
I love that he didn't start a centre half against Palace. That's just a total maverick move, straight out the Keegan playbook. I was into it.
Keegan playbook.
Stones is you worry about Stones because he is under pressure now to do well. England need him to play well and consistently. England need him and Man City need him to stay fit. So there's a huge onus, there's a huge pressure on him really from his club and his country to come in and just hit the ground running and not get injured. And I worry, is he being rushed back because there's an injury crisis? Hopefully not, for an England point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And another player crossing over to Aston Villa now, another player who maybe had a bit of a slower start to his spell in the Premier League. He's coming into it now, Jack Grealish.
Yeah, class.
Getting into it, isn't he?
Really like it. It's just, but I think he started the season in a kind of DM role almost, so more box and he's just slowly been gradually making his way up the pitch, and he needs to get up to more the number 10 position or number 8, and then drift into the channels and find pockets, arrive in the box late. But yeah, definitely a player there.
He's got 3 assists, 2 goals in his last 5 games against Premier League opponents, including a League Cup match with Brighton. It's good to see him chipping in, I guess, as well as McGinn. I think that Villa before the season, I'd look at them, and I was watching them a bit in the Championship actually last year, and they just have so many attacking midfielders in there who sort of take the pressure off the striker. I know Wesley's come into it a little bit now after a tough start, but it's nice to see, I guess, a new way of playing that we haven't maybe seen from a lot of teams. They've come up, they've got not relying on that one goal scorer to find the net. They're using him as a bounce board for 4 players behind them: McGinn, Hourihane, El Ghazi just keeps popping up with the occasional one, Douglas Luiz. It's nice to see them sort of spreading the goals around. It can only really keep them in good stead. I think they need to. I don't think Wesley was great at the weekend. No. There's talk maybe this young lad Keenan Davis getting a game, 21-year-old who was released by Stevenage. Yeah, went to Biggleswade under 18s, got a trial at Villa, and signed an 18-month deal with them in 2015. Nice little story there. So chuck him in Man City away. Got a Villa fan who really rated Keenan Davis last year. I think when Codger, he was a big Codger fan, he got injured. Keenan Davis came in and again couldn't stop raving about him at a Championship level. So yeah, it's not exactly an easy start for him if he does get the game, but yeah, it might be nice to see what he can do. It's nice to see as well, Villa, they're beating the teams around them. I think that's absolutely key when you're down there. It's, games like Man City are they're bonuses. It's damage limitation in most cases, I guess, with teams down there.
It's a goal difference job, isn't it? Keep the goal difference
collateral
down.
Damage. But yeah, they've beaten Brighton, they've beaten Norwich, drawn with Burnley, drawn with West Ham. Those are the sort of results that are going to keep you afloat. And after, like say, a bit of a shaky start, Villa do look like potentially, Sheffield United doing well as well, but potentially the strongest of the sides to have come up.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we'll get anything from this game, to be honest. I think this is
I'm not seeing
it's a freebie.
Last time we said this, I think Norwich won. Norwich beat City, but let's still stick with
I just think City have got their blips out of the way early.
Yeah.
I think it's a tactical.
It's a tactical blip. Excellent. Pep Guardiola forever reinventing the football defeat. I'm going 3-1 City.
Yeah, City by 2 or 3.
Fair. Nice one. Moving on to Saturday, 5:30 on Sky Sports Premier League and main event. It's Burnley versus Chelsea. We'll start with the away side. Chelsea. Didn't watch the Newcastle game. Sounds like the scoreline was probably a better one than it looked for Chelsea.
Yeah, they just went up a level, and Hudson-Odoi is so dangerous. Just fantastic skill, strength, putting dangerous balls into the box. He's just really, I think they should. I think he's got to be starting all their games now. I know he started the last 2. I think he's just a class player. Chelsea are flying. It's weird. I'm kind of envious of what they're doing with all these.
It's great to watch.
It's been really easy to hate Chelsea in the last decade, and now I'm quite admiring what they're doing. These young English players coming through. I love Abraham's. He's so desperate to score. When he doesn't score, the pain on his face, he's just devastated, isn't he? He's had the hard school of Championship loans, and he went to Swansea in the Premier League, and he's kind of slogged it out, and now he's getting his chance, and he's just a real handful. He's got that big lanky frame, strong, and he takes up good positions. He's intelligent, he can finish, and he's just desperate to score. So he's someone I like to watch.
Yeah, he's still got that bit of bit of spark about him. It's not just not just the day job for him. He's still he plays like he can't believe he's playing. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, you're right. And he's delighted when he scored. He's like, the relief on his face. I've scored for Chelsea. This is what I've been dreaming of doing for probably the last 10 years. So Chelsea is not doing badly for their transition year, are they?
I was just about to say, this was sort of written off, wasn't it, as the transition. If they finish 6th or 7th, it's not the end of the world. The young players coming coming through. I mean, you can see them evolving. Like each week, they're just adding something new to their game. I mean, Southampton, they tore them apart, and Newcastle have got the clean sheet now, which was probably a bit of an issue at the start of the year. They were winning 4-3, 5-2, whatever you want. If they can grind out those 1-0, 2-0 wins in the days where maybe they're not playing at maximum capacity, then that's the sort of performance that gets you in that top four. And I don't really see too much from United, Arsenal threatening Chelsea in that sense.
Well, this is the perfect grindy game. This is can you grind away at Burnley and get 3 points?
Precisely. Bit of a challenge, isn't it? Go at Turf Moor.
Yeah, it's not easy, and I think Burnley they're 8th in the league. That's they'd probably take that now if they could finish the season now. They lost for the first time in 5 games last weekend, so I think Burnley are probably happy, and again they'll see this as a free hit, and the big boys coming into town. And I think I could kind of see a draw in this one.
Yeah, I think it's they don't need to win this one, Burnley. It's similar to Villa, that they're sort of beating the teams around them, beating the teams who are expected to be around them. They don't need to win this one, but that almost makes them more dangerous because they can dig in, they can sort of defend a 0-0 or a 1-0. 1-0 lead if they get it. They've got people like Chris Wood. Chris Wood's doing very well at the minute after Ashley Barnes maybe tailed off from his bright start. I think you mentioned that Dwight McNeil coming into it, a few assists. So they have got those players who can grab that point without the pressure of needing to go out and win every game.
Yeah, I just think as well they might be hurting a bit. I think deep down they'll think that they should have at least got a point against Leicester. They took the lead. They had a few controversial VAR incidences that didn't go their way, so I think they'll be hurting and determined to get a draw. I just see a draw in this one.
Could see a draw. I'm still going with Chelsea, but I think it will be a close call on Saturday for the Blues. Moving on, Super Sunday, 2:00, Sky Sports Premier League and main event. It's Newcastle versus Wolves.
Yeah.
Do you want to just talk to me about this, or are you okay, Ketch?
Yeah,
are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. We're in. I think we're 18th in the league at the minute. Newcastle. Yeah. That's about probably our level. But yeah, Wolves are a bit of a bogey team for Newcastle. Drawn 2 defeats in the last few times they've come. There's some really worrying stats about the Newcastle team. The lowest possession, having a look through these, lowest XG, only scored 5 goals, lowest shots, lowest touches in the opposition area. So it's difficult. Steve Bruce is saying we've had a hard start. We have had a hard start. If you want to look at the traditional top 6, we've played 5 of them, everyone but City.
Yeah.
We're only 9 games in, and you talk about Aston Villa beating teams around them. We're actually beating the two wins we've had are Man United and Tottenham. So we need to start beating the teams around us. I think we play better against the bigger teams. So that's what we've learned so far.
They're almost like less valuable wins when it's against United or Tottenham because you're not putting the L on a team around you.
And when we've played like Brighton and Watford at home, we haven't done very well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, see who turns up. I'm not worried about our front three. I think our front three are quality. Alan Saint-Maximin, Joe Linton and Almiron. It's just the system. We're so deep. They're so deep in the pitch that there's just no supply to Joe Linton. I think there's a player there. He's not getting any chances.
But what can change though there? Because I mean, I was looking at all the stats there. Saint-Maximin, who when I've seen him on briefly, I haven't particularly watched him for 90 minutes. Looks like he's got flashes about him. Almiron looks like he's got flashes about him, but I mean, I think he looks flimsy. I think he looks quite weak and too easily knocked off the ball, maybe. But what can they be doing? They haven't got an assist or a goal between them this season. Like, can they be the players to provide those numbers?
I think there's two key things. I think we need to happen is possession and just a higher up the pitch. Get higher up the pitch. Get more support in. Saint-Maximin's getting the ball on halfway line and running and looking great. And there's no one around him. And Joe Linton's just spinning around trying to find a bit of space, and he's just running down cul-de-sacs. There's no harmony. There's nothing there really. We just need to get bodies forward, I think, and get higher up the pitch. And this is a ideal game to do that. Wolves at home. It's a game you would like to get something from at least. I know Wolves are a pretty decent outfit, but we need to start higher up the pitch and get some bodies in the final third and lay on some chances for Joe Linton. We don't know what we've got because he hasn't really had too many chances. He had like a half a header against Chelsea. He scored once against Spurs away because a good chance was laid on to him. So there's a player there It's just we need this, the onus is on the rest of the team
just
to
feeding
supply
on scraps, isn't he? Yeah, absolutely. So not great for Newcastle, who are low scorers. The joint lowest scorers, in the league, 5 goals in 9 games. All from different scorers as well. Nobody's actually got 2 yet. Not great to welcome Wolves to St James's Park, who have, well, they've got 5 draws in 9 games. So they're a bit of a tight unit, tough nut to crack.
Good away from home as well. They've only lost once away from home. The only thing that might work in Newcastle's favour is the fact that Wolves are travelling, or will have travelled, depending on when you're listening, to Bratislava.
Sure.
So Europa League, it does affect you. And this is an early Sunday game, so they're going to Bratislava, and I don't know how big is their squad. I think it's an okay squad, but defensively, there's a question mark there for me. I don't think he knows his best back line, and his stalwart is Connor Cody, and he can be got out with pace, and Newcastle have got pace. Yeah. So I want to see Maximum. I want to see Almiron running at Cody on Sunday afternoon.
Cody got absolutely blitzed. I think it was Tammy Abraham actually got absolutely blitzed. As good as he is, he got destroyed for pace in that game. So yeah, it could be something. Could be a bit of an opening. And yeah, a lot, I guess, does depend on Wolves' European hangover. It's funny how it actually does really seem to affect teams.
Yeah,
I know it sort of can be the lazy sort of media line, just they've lost a game or they played Europe, that's the reason why. But it really has taken a toll on their season so far. They've obviously played qualifiers before now, before even getting to the group stage. So yeah, you wonder if you can catch them on an off day. It might be the chance for Brucey to get things going. What's your prediction for this one?
Wolves will win.
After all that, I'm going 1-0, but it could be a close 2 Wolves, but it could be a bit.
I think so. There's no goals in that Newcastle team, and I just think it could get flat easily unless Newcastle start the game really well. Then I think the crowd will grow more frustrated, more quieter, and Wolves will gain confidence. So yeah, close one, but probably Wolves just.
Sure. And rounding off the Premier League on TV this weekend, there's no Monday Night Football, but there is Sunday, 4:30 kickoff, Sky Sports Premier League and main event. It's Liverpool versus Tottenham. Liverpool, interesting. So, drawn with United, close to drawing with Leicester, narrow win over Salzburg, narrow win Sheffield United, narrow win Chelsea, lost to Napoli. They're not blowing teams away at the minute. They're grinding out the results, but they're not hitting the heights maybe of last season.
Well, yeah, you could look at that. You could look at that.
Is that harsh?
It's fine margins, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think when you've got the quality on paper that Liverpool have, and you've got they're undefeated in 42 games at home. You've got all that. Anfield.
It's not bad, is it really?
Yeah. I just think it kind of that's they've earned that. They've earned that. Extra couple of percentages. Draining other teams with just the history and magnitude of the club and the quality of players in front of them. I was at the last time these played. I was there. It was the Champions League final. Yeah. We were there. We watched it, and it was a very, very close game. And I think this will be similar. I think it'll be a very tight game with not many chances. But I think Liverpool will just shade it.
Yeah, it's good to see Lallana back on the score sheet from the weekend.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
It's quite sad to watch his career. The fact that Adam Lallana is a forgotten man in itself is a sad point for me.
He's in his 30s now as well.
Yeah,
can you believe that?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed him when he was playing for England, and I thought he could have been a really, really big player for us. His time's probably gone, but yeah, he's the sort of player where I guess we've said it before in the past with Milner, who can just step up and provide that goal. Now Lallana is the experienced head. He could be that player who just let's say he's gained a point there, could nick you a win in the future. Good luck to him. Really like him as a player, and I guess he's always struggled maybe with the goal scoring side of his game, but nice to see him, even if it was a tap in. Nice to see him getting on the end of that one. Spurs, so they're not back. Can we just clear this up now? They're not back for beating Red Star, but that's a terrific win for them, really, isn't it? 5-0 in any Champions League game is a big result in front of the home crowd. Son getting 2 goals, Kane getting 2 goals, and Ndombele getting 2 assists, Lamela getting a couple of assists. Couldn't have gone much better for them really last night, could it?
Yeah, they needed that really just to try and get a bit of confidence back. I think Son and Kane are going to be key. Next few next few game weeks, absolutely key. Those two need to be firing, basically. And I look at this Tottenham team and I see Dortmund under Klopp, and I see what happened to him. He took that team and overachieved, and then it just went flat overnight, and he took the team as far as he came, and I don't think it's going to damage his reputation. I just think it's something is coming to an end, and I don't think Tottenham would ever fire the bullet on him, but I just think he might just think, you know what, I'm done with this. I haven't been supported. It's not going well for me. I think some of the players can be accused of letting him down. So I worry about that, and I just don't like where this is going for Pochettino, because I quite like him, and I think Tottenham fans will be devastated if he leaves.
Yeah, I think players like, I guess, Eriksen looked flat, looked off. I know he was sort of wanting out for Real Madrid, and you hope after everything Pochettino has done for Spurs, you'd hope that players like Eriksen would respect that he took them to the Champions League final. You know, like they were. I know it all sort of went pear-shaped when they got there, but that's no mean feat. That's a mean feat to get there, and I feel like he deserves that respect from his players. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's good to see. Let's say the other night that Kane and Son did turn up. Kane, phenomenal. His passing, his goals, everything about him. He is a phenomenal player. 16 goals in 17 Champions League group stage games. The only English player to score more. Any ideas?
Oh, in the Champions League.
In the Champions League group stages.
Oh, in the Champions League group stages. Oh,
he's got 19 goals.
You've done me there. Nah, you've done me, mate.
Yeah, Paul Scholes.
Scholesy. I was going to go Man United player. I just couldn't.
Kane rapidly approaching that total. He's actually done very well all season. I know Spurs have been up and down, but I think Kane's been pretty consistent all the way through.
Yeah.
And I actually think I'm going Spurs to draw this one.
Oh.
Against all the odds, I feel Liverpool, there's something not quite there with them, and I can't put my finger on it. I'm not going to tell you that it's X, Y, or Z, but there's just something where they look maybe a little bit tired, maybe a little bit under the weather. I'm not quite sure. They were without Salah the other day. I just feel like they're not firing on all cylinders. I don't think it's a deep rooted problem or anything like that. I think they will still be leading the Premier League by Christmas and probably afterwards. I still think they might end up winning that league. Just
do you know what they should do, Spurs, for this game? They should look at what Man U did and go free at the back.
Yeah.
Free at the back, occupy their three forwards, Liverpool's three forwards, and then the full-backs of Tottenham bomb forward, put pressure on Trent and Robertson. Trent wasn't great.
He might even be out this weekend. He might actually not be playing, which is another interesting.
Defensively, he can be got out, Trent. So I would go free at the back. I would bring in Davinson Sanchez with Vertonghen and Alderweireld. Then just get your fullbacks bombing on, and Spurs, their success was built on the press, and they just haven't pressed as much. He needs a more intense press. So if Spurs can bring the press and the three at the back, there's a chance.
That's kind of how United got there, didn't they? They were just so energetic. They were so in their faces, and I think Liverpool were kind of rocked by that. So I still think Liverpool are the favourites going at this one. I can just see Spurs getting something. And with Kane and Son, let's say they'll have been buoyed midweek. So yeah, not a cut and dry one. That one. It should be a really good game. That rounds off our Premier League previews. Fantasy tips. Any words of wisdom? I feel so underqualified again.
Yeah, it's a weird year, isn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like a grind, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fantasy this year.
Nobody is quite doing it every week, and I'm on the verge of tears. So yeah.
Well, have you got Sterling?
I do.
I'm wondering if he's going to bench Sterling, He's just done 90 minutes in the Champions League. He's had the international break. He's played both games in the international break. Wouldn't it be classic Pep to drop Sterling? So I'm worried about Sterling.
Well, I've actually got the Silvers on my list here for people to look at. Bernardo and David, both under 8 million, both with goals and assists in the last few weeks, and both rested midweek, so they're going to start. You give me the fear about Sterling.
I know.
Now.
To think there, isn't it? Also, Salah wasn't fit, and I think he will be fit for this game week. But I've cashed in on Salah, and I've gone Mane, and I'm using the money elsewhere.
So fingers crossed. Yeah, and avoid Danny Ings is my other tip.
Yeah,
he is the top form player in FPL right now. Who's he got? Leicester and Man City coming up. So don't be fooled by the numbers. Don't go for Danny Ings.
Yeah.
I know that's a really niche avoid, but but avoid.
You definitely score now.
I know, absolutely. Banker. Yeah, hat-trick incoming. What's going on in the mag this week?
So it's a Halloween special this week, so it's a very scary looking front cover. Kane's got fangs and red eyes, and Aguero's green. So it's a really scary cover. The best thing about this magazine, well, there's lots of great things, but you get 2 free packets of match attacks for the kids, and you're guaranteed a silver limited edition Marcus Rashford. So when he scored on Sunday, we were pleased about that because this came out on Tuesday. So he's informed. But there's loads of other stuff going on. We previewed El Clasico, and we were delighted when that was postponed on Friday afternoon as we were going to print. So instead, we've built a dream team comprising of both squads. And there's also a review of some of the best trios in the world, the best front threes, and there's even a picture of Michael Potts. So I'm going to pass the magazine over to you. There's a little picture of you doing the Football Times podcast with Jake Wilson. So
there he is.
If you go to the back of Match of the Day, there's a picture of
there he goes.
Michael,
you can see my glorious face. Thank you very much, Ketch. And we are the new kids on the block at Football Times, so subscribe for weekly snappy previews of Premier League games on TV. And you can also visit radiotimes.com/sport for a look at our shiny new page for all of the sport, not just Premier League. Thank you very much. See you next week.